Hello, the Master here. Today I am going to explain the tower defense simulator Iceberg, which is a Roblox game that I've been playing since spring of 2020, and I enjoyed the game to this very day, and has become very important to me, and is actually one of the few games that I've been playing for a long time and I never quit, since I always end up coming back when an event is happening or a big update is happening. So that's why I will be doing this Iceberg video today. I took this video from icebergthreads.com, and this iceberg was made by this guy. I cannot pronounce his name, sorry. Also, if you don't know how an iceberg video works, get out. Come on, not knowing that in the big 26 is crazy. Anyways, let's begin. Below Natural. Below Natural is a game developer that has been on the platform since May of 2011 and is known for making Tower Defense Simulator. He also did many Roblox games before TDS, but this was the game that blew up, and nowadays he still continues to update Tower Defense Simulator and also making a new game called Alter Ego, an asymmetrical horror game. John Roblox. John Roblox is the first TDS YouTuber, since John Roblox was friends with Below Natural and still is. He made his first TDS video on June 15th of 2019, when the game was barely known, and John Roblox made it popular since he was a Tower Battles YouTuber before. Nowadays, John Roblox does videos of his own Roblox Tower Defense game, called Tower Defense X. But he and Below Natural are still really good friends. Paradoxum Games. Paradoxum Games is the studio behind Tower Defense Simulator and Alter Ego. It was made on the 1st of May of 2019 by Below Natural, and the studio has its own website being paradoxum.gg. Hardcore Mode. Hardcore Mode is a game mode released on the overhaul update on the 29th of October 2020. Hardcore is one of the hardest modes in the game, and it's the only mode that has 50 waves. The final boss of this game mode is Void River, having 1.2 million HP. Although this game mode is currently being reworked, since it hadn't changed too much ever since it got added in 2020, and the rework will be released on June of 2026, which is probably going to release when I finish this video. Special game modes. There are currently 3 special game modes, which are game modes that aren't exactly like the other ones. They are different in their own way that differentiate them from the default ones. And all of the special game modes can give you special rewards. For example, for Badlands 2, you get the Cowboy skin. With Polluted Wasteland 2, you can get the Saboteur Tower, and with Pizza Party, you can get the Warden Tower. Golden skins. Golden skins are skins that came from the Golden Crate that can grant you 1 of 6 of the golden skins. And those skins have a special perk to them. Those perks make the tower stronger, but usually more expensive as well. One Golden Crate costs 50,000 coins, and it makes sense for what you will get. The towers that currently have golden skins are Scout, Crook Boss, Pyromancer, Minigunner, Cowboy, and the last one being added to the list is Soldier. TDS trailers. There are a lot, and I mean a lot of trailers for Tower Defense Simulator. The first trailer that was ever made for the game was on the 30th of June of 2019, made by known SH. Before, Tower Defense Simulator used to have new trailers for just really major updates, but now they make a trailer almost every single update that holds a little bit of importance. By the way, the trailer for the overhaul update won the Bloxy Awards of 2020 for the best game trailer.
Okay, the quality is good.
Guys.
Come on, we have...
Map reworks. Maps in the game that has been around for a while usually get reworked to fit the game's new art style or to change the map completely. This happens a lot and a lot with a lot of maps, and it's not something unusual. TDS events. Events in TDS are a celebration of sorts and include limited time maps and enemies. They normally reward an exclusive tower that cannot be bought with coins or gems. And there have been a lot of events for Tower Defense Simulator throughout its history. The first event was the Sword Fights on the Heights event that started on the 24th of June of 2019 and ended on the 30th of October of 2019. And this event rewarded the player the Gladiator Tower. The events on TDS happens to this very day, with a bunch of new events every single year. Some really cool events that happened throughout TDS history were the Spring 2020 event, Frost Invasion, Solar Eclipse, Operation Ice, and the Final Act event. Quests. Quests are tasks that can be completed by a player doing gameplay. If you complete the quest in time, you can get small rewards like coins, EXP, gems, and crates. There are two types of quests, the daily quests and the weekly quests. Usually the weekly quests gets you better rewards than the daily quests, but they are more difficult to achieve. Missions. Missions are a collection of objectives that can be completed by a player in-game. Instead of EXP, coins, gems or crates, missions usually gives you skins as rewards for completing the mission, and some of the skins that you can get in missions are exclusive to it. For example, the Nuclear Accelerator can only be obtained by beating the mission Herdios Haste. Challenge Trails. Challenge Trails are a difficult mode which currently can only be played through elevators. Challenge Trails have an unique mechanic of having a specific modifier be applied every 3 hours to it, and there are currently 13 different modifiers. Consumables. Consumables are items that can be used during a match to provide an immediate and helpful effect. They can be equipped similarly to towers, but in a separate hotbar. There are a lot of OP consumables that can be very useful in late game if you're struggling. UGC items. Tower Defense Simulator has its own UGC items that are themed around the game that can be bought in Roblox. They made a lot of UGC items over the years, and some of them can only be obtained in events as rewards for beating them or by doing a specific task on them. TDS merch. Besides UGC items, there is also a lot of merch for the game. There are currently different keychains, CDs, stickers, pins, hoodies and plushies. And plushies usually gives you an exclusive skin for the tower plush you're buying. TDS fan games. There are a lot of fan games for TDS on Roblox. A lot of them are made to remake the old feel of TDS, remaking the 2019, 2020 and 2021 eras of TDS, but there are actual fan games that are really good to play. The God Cube. The God Cube is a really important object in the TDS lore, and is something I'll talk about later in the video. Rosetix. Rosetix was the co-lead scripter of TDS, and he had been on the team for a really long time, but in late 2023 he was apparently banned from TDS Discord server, although it was later confirmed by another developer that he was fired, but no one knows why. Although it is interesting to note that Rosetix is now a tester for Tower Defense X. Elite. Elite is a TDS YouTuber that has 432,000 subscribers in the time I'm making this video, and he is one of the most popular TDS YouTubers out there. Encrypted. Encrypted is a TDS YouTuber that has been around ever since TDS started. He is known for being a really pro player in TDS. He managed to beat a lot of hard events solo, and for being a player that usually does a lot of strategies. Tower Battles vs Tower Defense Simulator controversies. There are a lot of controversies with both Tower Battles and Tower Defense Simulator, and that's because people say that Tower Defense Simulator copied Tower Battles, which was technically true, but nowadays They are much different in a lot of different ways, and in my opinion, I don't think it's fair to compare them anymore. Golden Mode. Golden Mode is a removed game mode that was removed on the 29th of October of 2020 on the overhaul update. As the name tells, this is a game mode around the theme of gold, and most of the enemies in this game mode are golden themed, and with the final boss of this game mode being the Gold Titan. Although it is interesting to note that Golden Mode is set to be re-added on Q2 of 2026, which was revealed on TDS public roadmap. Mega servers. Mega servers were survival servers, but with a maximum of 6 people per server, and instead of all players having a placement limit of 20 or 40, they would have a 16 placement limit, and the enemy's health would also increase to balance mega servers. But sadly, mega servers were removed on the 26th of July of 2022 for unknown reasons. And in my opinion, this should never be removed from the game, as it was quite fun having a lot of people in one match at once, and it was quite chaotic too, which was the fun part of it. Party skins. Party skins are a series of skins that can only be obtained from the Party Crate, which is a crate that was obtainable during the Christmas 2019 event and obtainable from a code for Tower Defense Simulator's 2nd and 5th anniversaries. Reason to Die assets. A lot of the assets in Tower Defense Simulator back in the early days was from Reason to Die, a Roblox game that Below Natural contributed to make. Layby is from Reason to Die. Layby is a Tower Defense Simulator map that was inspired by a Reason to Die map. Yeah, that's it. Fire rate bug. The fire rate bug, also known as the rate of fire bug, is a bug that slightly increases the fire rate of all towers and units. This bug significantly affects the statics of fast firing towers such as the minigunner and ace pilot by significantly decreasing their DPS. Admin towers. There are certain towers exclusive to admins for the game. The known admin towers that are currently in the game are Mecha Base and War Machine. The two of them were both made in 2020, and they have been around like that without major changes. Lord Exo. Lord Exo is the main antagonist for Tower Defense Simulator lore. He was first shown on the Violent Night event's game trailer and later reappeared in other events, specifically on the Null and Void event from Halloween of 2025. Lord Exo in the lore has a brother named 2X, and Lord Exo was like that and retained a physical body in the past, but it was destroyed so his soul could be sealed inside the God Cube, which serves as a prison for his spirit. And there are a lot of characters from the lore that have been corrupted by the God's Cube power. Patient Zero, Fallen King, Umbra, and a lot of bosses from the game were corrupted by this power. Narrator. The narrator is another character really important for the game's lore, and was the character that narrated an event all the way back in Halloween of 2020. In that event, the narrator is just a shadowy figure that dialogues in the event, but in late 2023, in the Lunar Overture event, he was back as the narrator for the event, and in late of 2025, he was back yet again in the Final Act event as the final boss of the event. And in the game's lore, he was a servant and right-hand man of Lord Exo. Metaverse Champions event. Metaverse Champions was a Roblox event that took place on April 15th of 2021 and ended on May 20th of 2021. The event was spread into 4 weeks, with up to 48 different Roblox games a week, and people could win items by doing certain tasks in those games, and one of those games was Tower Defense Simulator. There was a really crappy event for it, and that's because they were mostly focused on doing Frost Evasion, which was the event that they were currently doing. Tower of Eggs. Tower of Eggs was the reward for Spring 2020 event for TDS. The reason why it was rewarded this item was because they were participating on the egg hunt of 2020. And to be honest, I'm glad they got invited, because if they were never invited, I wouldn't know this game even existed. Content creator skins. Content creator skins are a series of skins that are inspired by different TDS YouTubers. There's content creator skins for Commander, Accelerator, Warden, Minigunner, Crook Boss, Cowboy, Brawler, Engineer, and Ranger. Those skins are unique, as it does not actually have any credit for those skins, but instead the skins appear on the daily skin store. Old tank inspiration. The old tank design was inspired by the tank from Left 4 Dead 2, as well as his old ability, where he would throw a rock into the towers to stun them. Hidden Wave. The Hidden Wave is, well, a secret wave that can only be accessed in Fallen mode, and it requires you to do a few things to activate the Hidden Wave. Firstly, you have to type in 120, 1 and 1009 in the chat. Secondly, the base health needs to be reduced to 1, and lastly, you needed to defeat the Fallen King in under 60 seconds. After all of that, the next wave will appear as wave 41, and after that, a completely different narrator starts to talk, who is simply just known as 3 question marks, and his appearance is really similar to Lord Axel, but it was not confirmed if he's the narrator of the Hidden Wave or not. After that, the game displays a false disconnect message, and then the Hidden Wave finally starts with the boss being the Awakened Fallen King, having 1 million HP, and this boss was actually going to be added way earlier in 2020, but it was later scrapped and then returned again in August of 2024, alongside the Fallen mode rework. There were also special rewards for the first 50 players to beat Hidden Wave, and it awarded the skin Triumphant for the Hacker Tower. Ace Pilot ability. At level 4, Ace Pilot grants nearby towers hidden detection, giving towers without hidden detection the ability to see hidden enemies. And the only tower that can also do this is the Firework Technician. Halloween 2023 event fail. This topic refers to the last act of the Lunar Overture event, which was the Halloween event of 2023 for TDS. And the last act was simply a disaster balancing wise. At first, Act 3 was simply impossible to beat, because of the crazy amount of enemies in the last waves, and thus handled pretty badly in my opinion. But they decided to fix the mess they made, and they made Act 3 really easy now, which, well, it's at least beatable now. Since before, you could only win by using a glitch with the Freezer Tower. Anyways, it turns out that Act 3 was actually rushed, and there were whole cutscenes that were scrapped and never got to the game. Umbra. Umbra was the final boss of the Solar Eclipse event, which was the Halloween event that took place on December 4th of 2022 and ended on January 26th of 2023. Umbra had 1 million HP, and she had 2 abilities, one where he fired multiple arrows at towers, stunning them, and an ability where it fired at the star cannon that decreases the health by 40. She later appeared on other events and being a really important character for the game's lore, and being one of the people that was corrupted by the God Cube's powers after she encountered it in a forest, which was mysteriously allured to the cube and taking on its full power. Challenges controversy. Original Back to Basics. The original version of Back to Basics, a challenge map, uses a modified version of Fallen mode and uses the same wave structure of the old Fallen mode. And the challenge was really hard before. People struggled so many times with bosses like Warden and others. It was so hard that it was almost impossible to beat without a nuke or a strong consumable, but after all the backlash, the devs decided to nerf the challenge in a later patch. Battle Cats references. There were some Battle Cat references in TDS. Battle Cats, for the people that don't know, is another tower defense game released on Android and iOS. Anywho, some of the references in TDS were Nico DJ, which was inspired by Monaco, and the Star Cannon used in the Solar Eclipse event and Null and Void event, which was inspired by the Thunderbolt cannon. Void Miner. Void Miner was a tower exclusive to developers of the game and sometimes testers of the game. The Void Miner worked like the farm, and at the end of each wave it would give a specific number of corruption, and upon reaching 2000 corruption it was guaranteed that a hidden wave would happen. Although on October 29th of 2020, in the overhaul update, it was removed. Cloud God. Cloud God is a scrap tower that was first supposed to be the original Hunter Tower. Cloud God had an outfit referencing Twitter, since this tower was first obtainable by a code, although it later got changed to the one we know now. TDS was a school project. Yep, that's right. Originally, TDS was a school project that took heavy inspiration from Tower Battles, another tower defense game on Roblox. Hardcore Live Event. There was a whole live event for the Hardcore update that took place on the 28th of August 2020. Back then, there was a purple door in the lobby that had a timer on it, signifying the release of the Hardcore update, and after the time hit 0, the live event would start. It began with the screen going black and the text appearing saying, quote-unquote, "I feel it, the end," and quote-unquote, "the end is only the beginning." After this, the screen would go back to normal and the skybox in the lobby would change. After that, purple orbs would begin to fall from the sky, with the goal being to avoid them for 1 minute and 30 seconds. After that, an eye in the purple door would become a black hole that pulled the entire map and the players, and it finally ends with the game going completely black and everyone getting kicked out. Backrooms Easter egg. Back in 2022, there was an Easter egg that you could only go with a glitch using the emotes, and there were the backrooms. Sadly, the backrooms in TDS were really short. Hardcore Update Clothes Shop. In the overhaul update, also known as the Hardcore update, the lobby was completely redesigned and had a clothes shop with clothes created by the community, although this was short-lived since it was removed later. Bird Hunter. Bird Hunter was the code that you got the Hunter Tower from, as I've previously said in another topic before. Old Error Buster Badge. This topic refers to the Error Buster Badge, which is a badge that was added in the overhaul update, and it was heavily associated with the Awakened Fallen King, and people theorized that this badge had something to do with the symbols in the Hardcore lobby. Below Natural was a Reason to Die contributor. Before TDS, Below Natural used to be a contributor for the Roblox game Reason to Die, which explains why a lot of assets in earlier TDS versions were from Reason to Die, and why a lot of the stuff before was inspired by it too. Rarest Badge in TDS. The rarest badge in TDS is the badge for beating a now removed map, the Doomspire, that was inspired by the Roblox game Doomspire Brick Battle, and this map was considered to be one of the hardest maps at the time, since it was really short. On 13th October of 2019, on the Mega Update, the map was removed with no reason given, but it is speculated that it was removed because of the map's difficulty. Platinum Crate. Platinum Crate was a skin series that was removed in the overall update. You could obtain a Platinum Crate by winning on 5 different maps on all 4 game modes at a time, which were Beginner, Molten, Golden and Fallen mode. And with that you obtained a Plutonium skin. There were 3 skins in the crate, being Plutonium Minigunner, Plutonium Pyromancer and Plutonium Crook Boss. Those skins worked similarly to golden skins, giving them a buff but they were much weaker than golden skins, and most likely they were removed because they were just weaker versions of the golden skins that were way harder to get compared to golden skins. Shield mechanic is still in the game. The shield mechanic is a remove status effect that gave the enemy shields, which set a damage limit to an enemy, and this was removed on the overhaul update. However, for some odd reason, the enemy Fallen Titan from the hardcore game mode still has this shield effect and displays a shield of 40, although it is worth to note that the shield just doesn't work anymore despite still being a thing. Military base lag glitch. Back in 2021, there was a glitch that had to do with spawner towers, where you could lag the entire game by spawning a bunch of them really close to each other, which would cause tons of lag. And this glitch was actually useful, since you could literally play in slow motion, so you had more time to kill the enemies in the game, which made hardcore, which was really hard at the time, really easy now, although it was patched after around 20 days. Khazad's and ICT skins. Those both skins were obtainable by a code, instead of just being in a crate, and they were also inspired by Roblox players. Hardcore lobby symbols. In the overhaul update, there was a lobby specifically for the hardcore game mode, and in that lobby, there was these symbols laying around the lobby. No one actually found out what they were, but as I've said before, people speculated that he had something to do with the Awakened Fallen King. The Voidlands. The Voidlands is a now removed map that was first in Hardcore Beta, a really buggy version of the Hardcore update since some stuff happened and they had to delay the updates. But when the overhaul update finally released, the map was completely removed and no one knows why. Old Apocalypse military base skin. This topic refers to this skin I'm currently showing, that was first teased in the TDS Discord server and was later shown in the Frost Invasion event trailer. And when the Frost Invasion update was released, for some odd reason, the skin was never released to the public and stayed as an exclusive skin. And to this very day, after 5 years, the skin is still not out. So they probably don't like the skin anymore, or it was just forgotten. Frost Motor skin. In the Frost Invasion update, you could get Frost Grates in the Battle Pass, and one of the skins that was planned to be added in the event was going to be the Frost Motor, which would be in a Frost Grate. Although weirdly, it was not added in the update, despite the skin being mostly finished. Although, this is not where the story ends, because the devs were actually generous enough to remake a 3-year-old skin and added the skin back. Evolve Towers. The Evolve Towers were completely different towers that were going to replace the golden skins. They were shown in the TDS Discord server in 2020 as teasers, and all the Evolve Towers that are currently known are the Juggernaut, which was the Evolve Minigunner, the Kingpin, which was the Evolve Crook Boss, and the Operator, which was the Evolved Scouts. After the overhaul update, for some reason, those towers were never brought again, and they were just forgotten. But on 1st April of 2026, Juggernaut was accidentally added to the game, and showed that the devs were actually bringing them back. The Translator Lobby. The Translator Lobby was a mysterious game created by Paradoxum Games. No one knew its purpose, but it is speculated that it had something to do with translation, which makes sense since, based off the title, you could expect it's something to do with translation. Blurred Biggest. Blurred Biggest was a TDS YouTuber really popular in 2021. He made really funny videos at the time, but sometime later, he decided to quit YouTube, but he's supposedly coming back. April Fools 2022. The April Fools update of 2022 was one of the weirdest April Fools in TDS, since it randomized the faces, animations, and the sounds of towers, units, and enemies entirely, which could create really weird combinations, and all the faces of the tower and enemies would be replaced by the man face or the woman face. The commander narrator was also changed to a furry for some reason. Okay, that's really it. John Tower. John was a tower that was released on the 16th June of 2019, and it was first obtainable via a code, which is now expired. The John Tower was dedicated to the YouTuber and now Roblox developer John Roblox, and the tower had a special ability, the Enraging Shout ability, which increased the damage of most towers within its range by 30% for 10 seconds, and made a great combination with Commander. Sadly, on the hardcore update, the John Tower was replaced by the Militant Tower, which had the same stats, but the ability was removed. This caused a really big controversy in the TDS community for obvious reasons. Not only did the tower that a lot of people liked get replaced by a generic guy, but the ability that was really useful was also removed. Although it is cool to note that the devs later added John as a militant skin. Teddy Bear on Sentry. There's a small chance that when the engineer tower is spawning a sentry, the sentry could have a teddy bear. It is really rare, and you probably wouldn't even notice since it's really small, but this is actually a reference to the sentry tower. Yes, the sentry used to be its own tower before being removed in the overhaul update, and the sentry tower had the same Easter egg. Markiplier played TDS. Yup, this is not fake. Markiplier in the video titled I Love Roblox, he actually played Tower Defense Simulator and just played a match and got to the next game. But it's still crazy to see that such a big YouTuber played this Roblox game. Hacker Tower. The Hacker Tower is a hardcore tower that hacks enemies, applying various effects to them. It can be purchased from the shop for 5,500 gems. This tower was released on the 11th June of 2025, but this tower has a huge history that dates back to 2020. In a tweet that Below Natural made asking what tower should be added to TDS, and the Hacker Tower won, but it took 5 whole years to add her to the game. Monster was supposed to be in the Frost Invasion event. Monster is a consumable in TDS where it spawns a unit called Monster that has 20,000 health and deals a lot of damage. This unit also appeared in the Operation Ice event back in December of 2024 as a unit that would help the player defeat the Frost Spirit. However, this wasn't going to be the first time that he appeared, since in the Frost Invasion update he would appear there as well but never got added to the game, since it was not completed by the time the event was released. Unreleased towers. There are quite a lot of towers that never got to the game, sadly. Some examples are Crystallizer, Tweet Gunner, and the Mine Tower. TDS x Arsenal collab. Back in 2020, there was going to be a collab between TDS and Arsenal, but never something ever came up from that collab. Deleted emotes. There are currently 4 emotes that have been deleted from the game. The first emote that was deleted from the game was the Fave emote, and this emote was based on the pose that the Roblox YouTuber Fave used to do at the end of his videos. But this emote was removed 4 hours later after it was added, because people were using to spell out the acronym KKK, which you probably know what it means, and this emote would probably be removed later too, because it turns out that Fave wasn't a good person and did some pretty wrong things and was exposed for doing really weird things. The next emote that was removed was a parrot party, which was a reference to the parrots dancing from Minecraft. This emote cost 800 coins and was removed in the overhaul update, and there was no reason given as to why it was removed. The last emote that was removed is the Bloxy Cola emote that cost 10,000 coins, being the most expensive emote in the whole game. But this emote was short-lived, since it was only on the hardcore testing beta, and the emote was removed 1 month later. Funny Faces April Fools. The main joke of April Fools of 2020 in TDS is that every single tower face would be replaced by random joke faces. They were replaced by the Cyborg face, the evil smirk face, the weird face, and the lol face. Ludwig listened to the Nuclear Fallen King team. Ludwig, a really popular streamer, actually listened to the old Nuclear Fallen Kings theme that was submitted by a fan to listen to, and he actually enjoyed it.
Okay, the song's not bad objectively. And I'm adding it to the playlist because 70% of people said yes.
Swamp Monster was going to be in the tower outskirts. In the solar eclipse event, there were 4 acts, and the 3rd act was in the map Tower Outskirts, where the main boss of that act is Penumbra's. But in the solar eclipse trailer, it starts with the towers in Tower Outskirts, and suddenly the Swamp Monster appears instead of Penumbra's. But when the update released, the Swamp Monster got to be the boss from the Act 2 instead. Soul Stealers used to be bosses. In the beta version of the hardcore update, because of a bug, the Soul Stealer enemy was considered to be a major boss. Yeehaw Tower. The Yeehaw Tower is an admin tower that there isn't too much public information about, but seen from the images, he was most likely going to work similarly to the Cowboy Tower, although he was in a Gatling gun in the first level. Accelerator Drones. The Accelerator Tower used to have drones that also fired plasma beams when the tower was in development. Exploiter leaks unreleased towers in 2021. There were leaks of unreleased towers that exploiters leaked in 2021. The unreleased towers that were leaked were the Kingpin Tower, the Juggernaut Tower, and the Engineer Tower. Army Camp Tower, Old Mercenary Base. In a poll that Below Natural made on Twitter, he asked what tower should be added in the game, and one of the options in the poll was the Army Camp Tower. And this tower had lost the poll, but on 19th April of 2024, the Mercenary Base Tower was added, which is the Army Camp Tower but with a different name. Night 4 was supposed to have 20 waves. Originally, in the Solar Eclipse event for TDS, Night 4 was going to have 20 waves instead of 40 waves, which was probably changed since it was too small for the last part of the event, and because of Umbra literally having 1 million HP. Mecha Base was out for the public in hardcore beta testing. Mecha Base, an unreleased tower for Tower Defense Simulator, used to be a public tower in hardcore beta. However, it was later changed back to be an exclusive tower when the hardcore update was released. Chaos Mode. In a tweet made by Below Natural, he asked what feature people wanted to see the most in TDS, and the feature that won this poll was Chaos Mode. But no one knew what Chaos Mode was, so people speculated that it was the new Golden Mode, PvP, or even an Endless Mode, where the game never ends until you die in the game. Gladiator on Vacation Easter Egg. In 13th of October 2019 until the 29th of November of 2019, the Gladiator Tower was unusable, and attempting to place the tower resulted in the message, quote unquote, "Hey, I'm on vacation, don't bother me." Voidcaster. Voidcaster was going to be the narrator of hardcore mode, but only appeared during a public test made around the 26th October of 2020, and she never got added to the game. But after so many years, she is set to be added in the hardcore rework update, which is going to release on the 5th June of 2026, which most likely will probably release after this video comes out. So everything about this is outdated. Unreleased badges. There are a bunch of unreleased badges for TDS, especially for the overhaul update, which would had 7 more badges added to the game, but all of them were scrapped. And those badges being quote-unquote golden power, which you could have got by opening a golden crate. The next badge being quote-unquote strength in numbers, which you could have got by activating the Call to Arms ability on 20 towers at once. There was also quote-unquote Apocalypse Rave, which is the badge where you had to buff 25 towers with the DJ Booth Tower. The next one is quote-unquote Double the Lines, Double the Power, which is the badge by beating a dual lane map. And finally there's the quote-unquote Triumph badge, which you could get by beating a map on all difficulties. Pumpkin Turret Skin. There was a pumpkin turret skin that was going to be added to the game and was going to have a jack-o'-lantern as the main change for the skin. Sadly, this skin was scrapped for unknown reasons. Unreleased Pursuit skins. There were 2 unreleased skins for the Pursuit Tower that never managed to get added to the game, and both of them were made for the Frost Invasion update. Pre-Hexscape event Bumper Card emote. There was an emote exclusive to the developers called Bumper Cards, and it was added when emotes were first added to the game, which was on July 19th of 2019, and you probably recognize the idea of the emote and its name, since there was another emote that was added to the Hexscape event Battle Pass, that was basically the same emote, albeit with different animations and models. Robloxia 3.0 map. Robloxia was a map that was added back in 14th June of 2019, and this map resembled the old feel of Roblox earlier days. But this map was later removed in the Mega Update in 13th October of 2019, but it was re-added and a new version was made for the hardcore testing beta, but this was short-lived, since it was removed again after 1 month in the overhaul update. Unused Jacobot UGC. In the Lunar Overture event, you could get 2 UGC items based on the Jacobot boss from Act 2, but there were also 2 unreleased UGC items, and no reason was given for those UGC items, being the quote-unquote Jacobot shoulder cannon and the quote-unquote Jacobot shoulder minigun. Nonish. Nonish, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is the person that made the first ever TDS trailer all the way back in June 30 of 2019, and also helped make maps for the game. Sun's Gun /3. This topic refers to the placeholder names for the upgrade descriptions of the towers, but this was short-lived and got replaced with what the upgrades actually do for the towers. TDS Hardcore Crates Incident. For some odd reason, in Hardcore Beta, in the Hardcore lobby, all the skin crates would cost 1000 coins, and it was specifically for the Hardcore lobby, so it was most likely a bug that they forgot to fix. Disco Room Easter Egg. In the Halloween lobby for 2019, there was an Easter egg which was the Disco Room, and it was kind of hard to get in, as you literally had to travel within the borders and out of bounds area of the map to get to the Disco Room. Hazmat Accelerator. Hazmat Accelerator is a skin for the Accelerator Tower that was only in the game in Hardcore Beta, and after the Hardcore update, the skin never returned, although there was a skin that was added later called the Nuclear Accelerator skin that has a similar design. Crate Reroll Bug. There was a bug where you could open multiple crates at the same time. You just had to click multiple times with the crate you wanted and have a good, considerable amount of crates to make the bug work. And it was a better way to get skins faster if you had multiple crates to open. Sentient Golem. This topic refers to a presumably scrapped boss for the hardcore mode, and it was later discovered by an exploiter that found it in the game's files. But I couldn't get any confirmation if this was real, because I've also heard that the Sentient Golem was maybe for another game made by Paradoxum Games, and I even heard that it was going to be for the PvP mode, so yeah, I don't really know. Old Fallen skins. Old Fallen skins, also known as Void skins, are skins that were most likely going to be in the game. I have no way to confirm that because I've searched quite a bit and I have found nothing about these skins besides a YouTube video just talking about it. But it is most likely real, since in the hardcore rework, a new skin crate was added called the Void Crate. So maybe this upcoming leak was actually real indeed. But it was scrapped for a long time before being added in the hardcore rework. Chainsaw Tower. Chainsaw was the original name for the Shredder Tower, which is now known as the Slasher Tower. And the reason behind that change is because the whole premise of the name was because it had a chainsaw. But as we all know, the Slasher Tower does not have a chainsaw in any of the upgrades anymore. And also, the Chainsaw Tower had a way more basic design than how it is now. Combated Tower. The Combated Tower is an unused tower from 2021 that was meant to be a starter tower and a replacement for the Paintballer Tower. This tower is basically an old version of the Brawler Tower, since they basically work the same way. Plutonium Crook Boss was still in the game after a hardcore update. As I've already stated in another topic, the Plutonium Crate is a removed skin crate that was removed in the hardcore update. But one single skin remained up until the Fresh Invasion update, which was the Plutonium skin for the Crook Boss Tower. All this happened because of a glitch, and it wasn't meant to still be a skin in the game. John Tower was originally Paintballer. Before the John Tower was added, the Paintballer was actually the tower that was made for John Roblox, since it was first a tower that was obtainable by a code, and the code was quote-unquote John Roblox. Survivor Minigunner skin. The Survivor Minigunner was a skin that was teased all the way back on June 2nd of 2020, and the skin was supposed to be in the game alongside the hardcore update, but the skin was forgotten and it was left to dust and never appeared again. Unused sword fights on the Heights lobby. Back on June 24th of 2019, the first ever event on TDS was released, the Sword Fights on the Heights event. Many people don't know this, but there is going to be a specific lobby for this event that I'm currently showing it right now. Wikia Engineer skin scrap turrets. For some reason, the Wikia Engineer skin was going to have custom sentries for the skin, but it got scrapped, and I don't think there was a reason given. Orange and Purple Health Cultist leak. The Health Cultist enemy from hardcore mode was going to have an orange variant and a purple variant. It is unknown if they would do something different, but it would be cool since the Health Cultist literally appears only one time in hardcore mode. Perk Shop. Perks were a feature that allowed the player to apply enchantments to towers, and there was a perk shop that was accessible by using a controller, since it was never meant to be accessible, since the shop was later removed and the whole feature was scrapped, since it could create balancing issues. King Minigunner skin. Back in the overhaul update released, a VIP Game Pass was added to the game. Besides the usual stuff that the Game Pass would give that we all know, it would also give a minigunner skin, called the King Minigunner. But sadly, this was never added to the game. Void Admin Only enemy. Back when the hardcore update was being developed, the developers added an enemy from the game Tower Battles into the game as a joke, and it was later seen in the John Roblox video showcasing it. a new space lobby. Back on August 9th of 2019, in the Area 51 event, there was going to be a specific lobby for the event, as it was going to be for the Sword Fights in the Heights lobby. That was also scrapped, and this lobby had a more sci-fi theme to it, as you're seeing right now. Sonic Electro Soccer skin in Lead Boss League. In one of the teasers for the hardcore update, had the Electro Soccer as Sonic, and it was obviously just a placeholder. Soldier Unit. The Soldier is an unreleased unit that was added exclusively to devs in the hardcore update. The Soldier unit would work basically as any unit would, but if any enemies entered its range, the Soldier would start firing the enemies as the Soldier Tower would. This unit remained in the game up until February 10th of 2024, when he was finally removed without ever being a public unit. OG Badlands return. On 13th November of 2024, the original Badlands map returned for 1 hour only due to a bug that made the original Badlands appear on elevators. Original name of the Rocket Arena map. You've probably already seen this in the video, but there were multiple occasions where the Rocket Arena map was mentioned as Blast Zone, as it used to be the original name for it after it got changed. Winterfall. Winterfall was the original map made for the Frost Invasion event, and this map would be really different from Outpost 32, having only one path. Frozen Battlefront. Frozen Battlefront is another scrap map made for the Frost Invasion event. Yeah, I have nothing to say about this. Tweet Gunner Tower. The Tweet Gunner Tower was an unreleased tower added in the overhaul update. He would work similarly to the Scout Tower, and this tower would be a new tower that would most likely be a successor to the Cloud God Tower, which is also known as the original version of the Hunter. The Mine Tower. The Mine Tower is an unreleased tower that would work similarly to the Farm Tower, but instead of giving money every wave, it would generate over time. Moderator Tower. The Moderator Tower was an unreleased tower that was in the game, but it got removed in the hardcore update. There's not too much known information about this tower, but we know that he was going to be a tower similar to the Scouts. God Cube in the Frost Invasion trailer. The God Cube actually appeared in the Frost Invasion trailer, when at that time the God Cube didn't exist in the game's lore, and it is most likely the first time we saw it. Alright, yet another Iceberg video done. I really enjoyed making this video, especially for an Iceberg of a game that I've been playing since spring of 2020. Anywho, before ending the video, I want to thank the TDS wiki for most of the info I took for this Iceberg, and also Wikiacolors for having useful info on his videos and being the creator of the wiki. So yeah, that was the Tower Defense Simulator Iceberg. I hope y'all enjoyed the video, have a nice day, and goodbye.